Hey guys, I'm going to go through the multiple choice for trials now. So here we go. Alright, question 1 says, consider the graph of y equals 4x plus 1. What is the equation of the graph after it has been translated 2 units to the right? So to show that this straight line is translated 2 units to the right, you want to replace this x right here with x minus 2. So if we did that, we will get this plus 1. All you have to do now is just expand the bracket and you will get your new function or new equation. Plus 1 equals 4x minus 7, and that will give you C as your answer. Alright, on to question 2. It says, Gianna and Maria run a painting business. Gianna paints 1 square meter of wall in X minutes, and Maria paints a 1 meter squared of a wall in Y minutes. Which expression represents the area of the wall they can paint in 1 hour if Gianna and Maria work together? So guys, I definitely messed up this question since I didn't really know what I was doing. But later I figured out that what you have to do is you have to actually give values to X and Y. So for instance, let's call X 2 minutes. If Gianna can paint 1 meter squared of a wall in 2 minutes, that means she can paint 30 square meters in an hour. And let's call Y 3 minutes. So Maria, if she can paint a meter squared of a wall in 3 minutes, that means in 1 hour she's going to paint 20 meters squared. So combined, they're going to paint 30 plus 20 equals 50 meters squared. I'm not really sure how to explain how to get the expression in detail, but what you have to do is that you have to pick the expression that gives you 50. Alright, so let's go through them all and see which one it is. X plus Y is just 2 plus 3, so that's 6, that's not going to be 50. B is 2 plus 3 over 60, that's 5 over 60, that's not 60. C, X plus Y over XY, that's 5 over 6, that's not 60. So that leaves us with D. So D, 60. 2 plus 3 over 2 times 3 equals 60 times 5 over 6 equals 300 over 6. And that will give you 50 meters squared. And that will give you D. Alright, let's go to question 3 now. It says, consider the following graph of y equals f of x, which crosses the horizontal axis at negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. The question asks, which of the following equations could represent y equals f of x? A, cot x, B, tan x, C, sec x, and D, cosec x. Alright, so what we're going to do right away is we're going to see that this function actually has a tan-looking shape. And sec x and cosec x, I'm not going to draw them exactly, but their shape looks a bit like this. Something like that. Alright? So that means we can eliminate C and D. So in the question it says it intersects at negative pi on 2 and pi on 2. Alright, so now we're between cot x and tan x. So if you know about cot x, you know that at pi on 2 and negative pi on 2, they're going to be asymptotes. If I can just draw those asymptotes. Yep. And then another asymptote there. And then it will look like this. Yep, so at these asymptotes, the output, y, is going to be infinity. So for cot x, we know that all the points where there's an asymptote, it's going to be 0, since as you know, 1 over infinity equals 0. 1 over tan x. So every time tan x is equal to infinity, i.e. where there's an asymptote, cot x is going to equal 0. So therefore, the answer is going to be cot x, which is A. Alright? Question 4. It says, the results of a class quiz are shown in the frequency table below. How many students had a result within 1 standard deviation of the mean? Alright, so this is just calculator work, honestly. So I'm just going to get my calculator out. And you can do the same as well. You can do it with me. Give me a minute. And I'm just going to put the data in. 2, 8, 5, 6. Alright. So if you put all that data into your calculator, you'll find that the mean, sorry, I'll change back to black, equals 8.375. And the standard deviation, which is denoted by, sorry, that's a terrible sigma. That's a terrible sigma. Frick. Sigma x, that's better. Sigma x, 1.2849 ... and we're just going to leave that exact. So the question asks how many students had a result within 1 standard deviation of the mean. So 1 SD above . 8.375 plus, and then the standard deviation, equals 9.67, and 1 SD below. I did this already, so it's pre-worked out. So it's 7.09. So 8. Every score that's 8 is between 7.09 and 9.67. So that's 8. 7.09. So, yeah, 7 is below 1 standard it's more than 1 standard deviation below the mean. So this 7 actually doesn't count. I made that mistake in the exam. 9 is within 1 standard deviation above the mean, since 1 standard deviation above is 9.67. So these circled ones are going to be within. So it would be 8 plus 5, which equals 13. And that will give you B. Alright. Okay, moving on to question 5. If I can. Frick. Sorry. Alright. Question 5. Ali decides to invest $500 at the end of each month into an annuity. The interest rate quoted is 9% per annum compounded monthly. Let A to the n represent the future value of the annuity after n months. Which recurrence relation models this financial situation? So, the one thing that you can do straight away, the question says 9% per annum compounded monthly. So the monthly rate is going to be 9 over 12. Yeah. Which as a decimal is going to be 0.075. Yeah, so this is the monthly rate. So automatically you can knock out these two. Yep. Alright, so now we're left between A and B. The thing that made me distinguish between the two is that, or pick the right one, is that B says that A0 is 500, which is wrong. Because you'd start adding $500 in the first month. Also, hang on, at the end of each month, that's when they add $500 more into the annuity, which will compound interest in the next month. So therefore, A is the answer. Yeah, I'm not sure really how to explain these annuity type questions. So correct me if I'm wrong. But again, A0 can't be 500. You only start adding the 500 in the first month. Yeah. Alright. On to question 6. It says, consider the equation cos theta minus square root 3 on 2 or bracket times tan theta minus 1 over square root 3 or bracket equals 0. It says how many solutions are there in the interval negative pi theta is between negative pi and pi. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw out that domain for you. 0, and this is pi and negative pi. Both of them are. So it's within this whole domain. Right? Alright, and HSC. Alright, so if we consider each of the brackets separately, cos theta minus root 3 on 2 is going to equal to 0. And if we move root 3 on 2 on the other side, equals root 3 on 2. Root 3. So the inverse cos of root 3 on 2 is equal to pi on 6. And since cos is positive in the first and the fourth quadrants, the other answer is going to be 0 minus pi on 6 . And I'll just check that negative pi over 6 is correct. Yeah, and that gives you an answer of 0. Alright, so if we go to the other bracket, tan theta minus 1 on root 3 equals 0. One on root 3. And if you did that, you would get 1 over 6 pi. This actually overlaps with this answer right here, so these two are actually the same. But tan is also positive in the third quadrant. This one. So the other answer would be negative pi plus pi on 6. Negative pi plus pi on 6. Which equals negative 5 on 6 pi. And I'll just check that that's right. And that gives me an answer of 0. So therefore, all the solutions are negative pi on 6, pi on 6, and negative 5 on 6 pi. So that would mean that the answer is 3. Alright? Question 7. This question I definitely screwed up, guys. Alright, it says, the strength of an earthquake is calculated using Richter's formula. M equals log 10 of I, where M is the magnitude of the earthquake and I is the intensity. An earthquake with a magnitude of 5.4, so that's going to be M, our value of M, was detected in the desert. A second earthquake occurred in the same location a few years later and was measured to be twice as intense as the first earthquake. It asks, what is the magnitude of the second earthquake? Alright, so if we plug 5.4 into the M, we get 5. 10 of I. And if you rearrange that, I equals 10 to the 5.4. Alright, the question says that the second earthquake is measured to be twice as intense as the first earthquake. So, the second earthquake can be modeled like this. This is the expression for the second earthquake. It's log 10 2i. And by log laws, you can split this up into log 10 2 plus log 10i. And this is equal to 5.4. And if you add these two together, like I'm going to do now, log 2 plus 5.4, you are going to get 5.7, which means that your answer is D. Alright? Question 8. Probability. This is a hard one. Alright, just let me get my formula sheet. Find it. Alright, it says, two independent events, A and B, are given such that P of A equals M and the P of B equals M plus 0.4. It is known that P of A and B equals 0.21. It asks, what is the value of P A union B? Alright, it says that the events are independent. So, if you look in your formula sheet, if you look in your formula sheet, the formula for A and B equals P of A times P of B. So P of A and B equals M times M plus 0.4. And it's given that P of A and B is 0.21. 0.21 equals M squared plus 0.4M. And if you move the 0.21 over, minus 0.21, and if you put this quadratic equation into the quadratic formula, you're going to find that M equals negative 0.7 and 0.3. And you discard this negative since probability cannot be negative. Alright, so in your formula sheet, the probability for A union B is given by PA plus PB minus P of A and B. So, if you plug in the value for M, you're going to get 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.4 minus 0.21. And if you do all that, you will eventually get 0.79, which is B. It's a hard one. Alright, question 9. This one's also a hard one. It says, let f of x be a continuous and differentiable function for all real values of x. The following facts are known. F dash of minus x equals f dash of x. F dash of x is not equal to 0. F of 0 equals f double dash of 0, which equals 0. Alright, so before I go into how to answer this question, I'm going to say that I got tricked by this last point here into believing that 0, 0 is a point of inflection, which it isn't. Alright? So let's look at each of the 3 points. The first point says that f of dash of negative x is equal to f dash of x. That means that it's an even function. The second point says that f dash of x is never equal to 0. That means there are no stationary points. Yep. Hang on, if I can just find working out. Hang on. Wait, I'll come back to this in a sec. Just let me find my working out.